Are you in a sexless relationship because your partner feels like they're not attractive enough or not sexy enough? In this video, we're going to be reacting to another post from Reddit where this their relationship sex has declined over a period of time, and she feels unattractive, and he doesn't really know how to change the situation. In this video, we've done something a little bit different. Instead of me trying to read to you the post, we're going to get the power of AI to do it for us. And in this case, he's also going to be have got a face as well, so which makes it seem like an interaction, which makes it so much better. I think it makes it so much better. Please give me some feedback below to see, tell me if this is the format that you prefer, or you prefer the previous one, which was I'll put the post up and then we try and read it together, which was very difficult for me personally because I'm dyslexic. But here we go. I'm going to go into this post.
Why wife 30F doesn't seem to like sex. We have been together for 4 years and married for 1. She is very uncomfortable with her own body, which sucks because she is a smoke show.
So it goes straight into it, into how she's uncomfortable with his body and how he thinks that she's a smoke show, which is a crazy part about it. That sometimes most people, when they find themselves in this situation, it's really that self-image. How does she see herself? And is a very important part. But before we go into a little bit deeper into that self-image stuff, let's go back to the thing that he said. They've been together for 4 years. They've been married for 1. What I'm curious to know is what happened in order for them to say a decline, or was there already some sexual issues right in the beginning? Generally, most people go into what they call the honeymoon period, and that honeymoon period is got a few drivers that are going on. So there's what we call the emotional drivers, and the emotional drivers are these feelings of you not wanting to be alone, which is very typical with human beings. We are very communal, community driven creatures, so we need to be close to people, we need a sense of community, we need a sense of connection. So therefore it becomes a driver of us not wanting to be in a place where you're left alone. It's a an important drive because if you were a loner back in the day, you would usually end up dead because you didn't have the community to be able to keep you safe and also to keep you from starving and dying. So you needed a sense of community. So that's an emotional drive that we have as human beings, and it's a survival mechanism. While also it's a mechanism that is important for us to create connections. So when we can procreate. So then they've got biological drives, which is obviously when you want to procreate. Our genes are always expanding and staying alive because they want us to continue passing on our genes. So there's part of that as well. So when you start a relationship, you've got these two things that are driving you into a relationship. So a lot of those insecurities go away because there's this sense of adventure where you're getting to know each other and things are pretty good. And then with like any relationship, you start finding places where there's challenges because of different values. You start seeing that those values don't align, which is a good thing because again, it's impossible for you guys to be aligned on every single thing. If you are aligned on every single thing, one of you is really passive, and again, that's still self-destruct. That will still destruct your relationship. Whereas if you find those values that are misaligned, that's really good. It means that you can have conversations around how you guys can from an individual standpoint be comfortable with sticking with those values. At the same time, how can you use those values to contribute into the relationship, which is more important? So most people sort of fail to navigate this section here, which then allows the underneath all of that was happening, where you had the honeymoon period, you were carrying along your insecurities. The challenges bring up those insecurities, and then when they come up, you not being able to deal with those insecurities just makes those insecurities bigger, and then they start shutting down the emotional drives and shutting down the biological drives, and then it starts shutting down. Then this is where the honeymoon period is gone. So with this interaction, I don't really know where the shutting down of the emotional drives and shutting down of biological drives, whether that happened as soon as they started dating, or it happened over a period of time. So that we don't have that information, but I think it's an important thing to understand from your relationship as you looking at this and thinking, where was that decline? Where did that happen? Or did I already know and I just thought that things were going to get better by me doing more stuff in order to to be passive in terms of I'm not going to, when the challenges come, I'm just going to shy away or not try and deal with any challenges. Then, therefore, somehow things are going to turn out better because we don't have arguments or fights. So, therefore, that's what the good relationship should look like, and therefore things should work out for good. Which most people, that's how they approach a relationship, not realizing that those challenges or arguments or friction within the relationship, it is the most important thing in your relationship. Sorry, I always hit the mic and that always gets me annoyed. So it's one of the most important things within your relationship because those challenges bring up those insecurities. Then you can identify them. Then you can actually deal with them as an individual. And as you deal with them individual, you actually grow. And as you grow, it makes you better at contributing to the relationship. But most people, they stunt their growth, and because they're not trying to deal with any of it. So again, it becomes more of this really trying to take from the relationship, and nobody's in contribution, and you find yourself in a sexless relationship. So a lot to unpack just from the 12 seconds that this guy said. And like I said, when it comes to people telling me that they're in a sexless relationship and there's a few things going on, usually comes down to this: how do they deal with challenges, and how do they navigate these uncomfortable places where the insecurities come up? In this case, her insecurity is centered around how she looks. And when it comes to how you look, one more thing, she's never had somebody that's spoken to her about who she is. And I remember a few weeks ago I had this conversation with my daughter, who is 11, and I'll continuously have this conversation over a period of time where she was not happy with how her hair looks and how it was unfair that somebody else had better hair than she's got. And I said, there's some things that you can never change, my love, and there's things that can make you feel good about yourself, and things that can make you feel bad about yourself. You complaining about something that you cannot change, that you is something that is going to hurt you as you grow up. It's going to make you feel bad about yourself over and over again. Again, there's some things that you can't change, but at the same time, there's things that you have that make you an amazing person. So it was just me trying to get it to Chef to see that the things that you measure as in being good is, are you hardworking? Are you showing up every single day, being a better person that you were yesterday? And those are the things that make you amazing. You're kind, you're considerate. And this when I can get her to think that way, where she can see things that she can control, and those being the measure of who she is and make up of who she is, all of a sudden, yes, she's always going to feel like she can compare herself to other people, but at the same time, she can measure herself based off of the things that she can control, things that she can do, and that can make her feel good about herself. And has she overcome any challenges? Does she not know something and then got better at doing that thing? Those are the things that you need to be looking at. Are you getting better at maths, for example? Are you getting better at doing your netball? Are you getting better at all of these things? Are you facing challenges and getting better at those? When you can do that in life, that's one of those things that are going to make you feel good about yourself, and you're going to feel see yourself in a better place, rather than whether you're hair or you're tall or short or light or small nose, big nose, whatever it is. Some things you can never change, and those things are what makes you feel. And again, like I said, this is a conversation I was having with my daughter. Unfortunately for this woman, nobody's sat it down and told her about this. And the contrast to this is that some parents, when it comes to their children, when they speak to their children, for example, there's a lady called Renee Brown. She talks about shame. She gives this example, and she said that sometimes when a mom, or when a child comes from school and then says, "Mom, I couldn't make any friends at school today. Nobody sat with me." Usually the mom, instead of saying, it happens or whatever they could say, which is going to be centered around them, encouraging them to be themselves. They say it's because your hair looked a certain way or you were dressed in this other way, so people didn't want to be with you because of how you looked. And again, some of it is not because it's not intentional. It's just that we sometimes overlook what we say to our children and not really see the actual impact that will happen. So now this kid will see themselves that they're not attractive enough, and therefore that's why nobody wants to be around them. So they feel like they're just not good enough in terms of how they look. So again, fast forward, we find ourselves in this sexless relationship, and we've been 12 seconds in, and there's a lot that we can actually break down from this. So in this case, he said, let's just bring it back a little bit so we can go through this bit.
She is very uncomfortable with her own body, which sucks because she is a smoke show. I 29M own a construction company and work probably 70 hours a week, but every moment I spend with her I try to make her feel loved and appreciated. I keep trying to.
Now, the other bit here, it says it tries to make her feel loved and appreciated. Now, the trying to make her feel loved, it's it's an interesting one, because when most people go into trying to make somebody feel loved, generally it becomes transactional. So I'm doing this, and in this case, I'm guessing is doing, is overboard. Either it doesn't specify, but I'm going to guess based off of what most guys do. He's probably doing a lot around the house, cooking for her. He's doing the romantic stuff where he's trying to buy gifts. He's going to probably be writing some love notes. He's probably doing big romantic gestures, weekend away, date nights, all of these things that are normally, when you off the surface, looks good, but on the intention behind it becomes this real transactional thing, that I'm going to try and make you feel emotionally good, and so that I can end up getting sex, which is a very wrong dynamic, because again, the fact that there's some sexual discomfort in the relationship, any move that you make that is leading towards sex is a horrible move, because the worst thing that you want to do is, for somebody who doesn't want something or feels uncomfortable with something, is offer that thing that makes them feel uncomfortable. So it's a very terrible thing. And I made this example the other day when I was speaking to on my podcast. They were saying, if you're a straight man and then somebody offers you gay sex, all of a sudden you feel very, very uncomfortable, because that's not something that you want. So there's this similar thing that happens, that she's uncomfortable, and you offering up more sex or doing things that will lead towards sex will discount anything that you're doing leading up to that. So it's very interesting when somebody says, I'm trying to do stuff that are emotional, or I'm trying to establish an emotional connection based off of these things, so hopefully we have sex, and it sounds good, but there's a different way of doing things. So we'll go into how you can do something differently with this.
To establish an emotional connection in the ways I know how, so she will feel more open to having sex regularly. Every time I try to.
So that's exactly what I'm saying, that he's trying to establish an emotional connection so she can feel comfortable that you can have sex. Like, from a logical standpoint, actually sounds like a very good idea, but really it should be not focused on the emotional connection. It should not be focused on doing things that are going to lead towards sex. You should be backing off sex completely and then focusing on things that are going to make you guys happy, and just focus on good emotions and good vibes within the relationship. So what does this look like? I would book pottery class, for example. I would book a cooking class, for example, and do something that is out of your comfort zone, or go and do a salsa class, for example. All of these are places where it's massively uncomfortable because you're learning a new skill, but at the same time gives you an opportunity to connect, because now in this really difficult thing together, it allows you to really have a sense of connection, and also it's fun. You're doing music, you're exercising, you're close together. For me, dancing is probably like Latin dancing or salsa is probably one of the best ones, because you you're forced to be together. Essential. It gets you in a habit where you're feeling comfortable with each other, with close proximity in terms of body, but at the same time, it also gives you a sense of achievement, because you've got this thing where you're both terrible, and then you've got this progression where you're getting good. Now it gives you a sense of connection, a better connection in terms of you're also having fun because you're messing up, you're laughing at each other, and you've got all these things that are happening that really establish a not an emotional connection. There's that, but you're actually having fun, and when you can have fun, this opens the door of a new positive association with the relationship, because there's whenever you introduce sex, when sex is uncomfortable, you're compounding on this process of, is there like a vicious cycle that's happening where she's got a negative association with sex, you try and give her more sex, which further compounds that issue of not wanting to have sex, which then leads you to not having sex, which then makes you try and establish more sex, and then so it's this vicious cycle that ends up happening. So she's got a negative association to sex. By doing some of these other things that are completely out of not having sex at all, really starts creating positive associations within a relationship, and those positive associations open the door for you to guys to actually start opening towards sex. So let's just go, without further ado, let's go a little bit more, and I think we're going to be
To
right.
talk to her about it, she gets really upset, and it has the opposite effect I want. She hates foreplay, no giving or receiving oral, and very little hand work.
So again, it gives us a bit more insights about it. Like, she's clearly really uncomfortable with the whole sex stuff. She doesn't want to get involved within the seduction side of things. So it sounds like she gives quite a lot of dutiful sex. In this case, she sounds like she's really, really uncomfortable leading up to it, and there is massive discomfort. Now, in this, like I said, the best thing here for him is to back off, really start establishing more positive associations within the relationship, where she feels positive about the relationship, and more importantly, starts feeling positive about herself. And this is why doing something that is outside of your comfort zone, it's her doing something that's difficult, and she starts seeing progression in herself. When she sees progression in herself, she'll feel better about herself. It's just like what do they call it, the runner's high. For any of you that have run like a 10 miles race, for example, you initially, when you start the running the long distance, the first 50% of the race, you're complaining and like, I wish I wasn't running, I wish I wasn't doing this exercise. And then all of a sudden, when you about 60 or 70% in the race, you might actually start thinking, oh, this is not so bad. And when you finish, you feel euphoric. Or same with the gym. Sometimes when you're trying to go to the gym, you're like, I really don't want to go to the gym. All of a sudden, when you go to the gym and you finished, you're like, whoa, I'm so glad I did. So there's the same thing where you start building positive associations when you guys can do something that is extremely difficult, something that is out of your comfort zone, and then you're doing this together. Again, it starts building positive associations within your relationship, and this will definitely open the door for a little bit more physical stuff, especially like if you're doing dancing, for example. That's a good way. If she's not comfortable with dancing, improv class, comedy class, all these things are really uncomfortable, pushes you out of your comfort zone, and really gives you an opportunity to start connecting in a different way.
She always moves my hand away from her. I don't know what I can do to make her feel safe enough to open up. Any advice is appreciated. Thank you. Why?
So just to wrap things up, so in this case, the first thing that he needs to do is to back off sexually, really not come with sex first, come with fun first. So how do I make things fun around the house? One of the things that we do particularly is we play a lot of games, card games. Generally, when we go out in the restaurant or whatever, we like to play games. So even the time that we're out, there's no phones that are allowed within. Whenever we go to a restaurant, adults and children, nobody's allowed to have a phone, but we usually bring a game, and the actual experience when we're out is more fun because we get to play these games I'm pretty terrible at the games, but my wife and daughter are really very good at this. So again, this is becomes very important. That the reason why it's important for us is because we're building this positive association to going to a restaurant, or at least a positive association to spending time together. And it's a very important part because then it opens the door whenever you're at home. Again, you have fun. So generally we've got this playful demeanor around the house. Everybody's always playful, and it's an important part because again the world is so horrible in terms of how we treat each other. We just really don't want to connect anymore. And when we have mobile phones where we can look at internet and social media, all of it is really negative as well. So it's very good to have an environment where there's a lot of positivity, a lot of playfulness, a lot of connection that way. Because again, most people are bored out of their mind in the world. So when you can actually be playful and have positive vibes, that is a very important part on changing any relationship, because that person associates you with something that is good, positive, and also just this fountain of joy. Again, a cuddly fountain of joy sounds crazy, but you become that place where they go to when they want to feel good, because they know they can share those things, those types of feelings with you. And when they can do that, the byproduct of it is that you then it opens up the door for you guys to explore things emotionally, explore things from a sexual standpoint. So thank you very much, guys. If you would like to learn more and get better at this, we've got our Thriving Tribesmen group community where you can go, and we share some courses, free courses down there. Those courses, the one that we've just released is called Unleashing Unlimited Sexual Power. Again, it goes even deeper into some of the things that I've been teaching you right now. So if you would like to take advantage of that, you can click the link below. You should be able to get that. And if you would like to get better understanding of how to change a sexless relationship, there's or at least the skills to change your sexless relationship from a seduction standpoint. We do have a course that's going to be releasing very soon called the Attraction Toolbox. Again, it's going to take you deeper into some of the things of how you can change a sexless relationship from a positive standpoint, rather than offering up more sex as a solution. So thank you very much. I'll be seeing you guys soon. Take care.